You can start.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I would like to welcome Jon Raffa to Food Farms and Chefs. He is one of the co-owners of 1911, which is in East Passyunk Ave in Philadelphia. Jon, thank you for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's always nice to get a little bit of attention. Yeah, it's always nice to be be noticed, especially just for the business, and I appreciate you reaching out.
Oh, no problem. And, before we really get into everything, I just want to first thank you for your service because, without you, our safety obviously wouldn't be around. So for anybody who's tuned in and listening, Jon used to be a Marine previously. So I just want to thank you for, your service and for what you did to protect all of us.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't expect that. I kind of threw me to the left field. I didn't expect that to be brought up. But it's been a long time. I've been out of the service for almost 14 years now, and it's not like I didn't cook in the military or anything like that. That's not what really got me into cooking. That was just something that I did when I was 18, and
Chef, nothing personal, but you're a Marine. So I am the son of a Marine. I understand you are always a Marine. May have been 18 years ago. You're still a Marine.
Yeah, that's a very, very common quote. They say, once a Marine, always a Marine. So why re-enlist?
Yeah, my father was one, and he was one till the day he died. So I understand. Thank you for your service, Semper Fi.
All right, thank you so much.
I mean, it probably also gave you a very regimented way, making sure that everything's taken care of, and that you cross all your T's and dot your I's kind of thing, as far as cooking is concerned. But what inspired you once you got back out of service?
Well, honestly, the first thing that I did when I got back out of service is my dad said, look, don't rush to find a job, take a minute to adjust. And initially what I did is I was thinking about training to be a pharmacist, and because good income and, steady job. But I got in there, and what you do is you start off as a pharmacy technician, and that job is essentially, you just count pills and you're just a clerk. So, and I saw what the pharmacists were doing in retail. Like I worked for CVS and I worked for Walgreens. I hope I'm allowed to say those things without being sued. But
No, you're fine.
But both of those companies, it's the same job with a different name tag. But what got me into cooking is it came down to just thinking about the translation from the Marine Corps to being a chef is that it did make me the military really teaches you attention to detail. And I became obsessed with that when I started cooking. And when I saw cooks that were just kind of clumsy, it really made me annoyed. And for me, that was for me, that was one of those things where I sort of very quickly found myself in charge of people. And as a chef, for people who've been in the kitchen, the last thing you really learn how to do is delegate. But it ultimately made me a better cook and a better chef. And looking at plates, I love little details, but it's about flavor. But the little things about how you eat, how you eat your food, because as a chef, we have a tendency to, I guess the best way of putting it is you end up putting too much stuff on the plate, and you end up with a plate that's 3 dishes. And you got to learn how to edit yourself.
So, and I'm sure that throughout, all the different executive chefs and big name chefs that you've worked for, because you have worked under some big names, including, will be BYOBs. Sorry, Chris Kears.
He's very detail oriented, and the reason that it's working for him is good is because he's got so much like 3 Michelin star experience. So he's like, basically the way he explained it to me is like, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to see that's really inspiring, but you're probably not going to be able to use it because like, you know, you don't have 20 people in your crew. You don't have like $2 million kitchens with all kinds of, you know, expensive equipment. So, you know, you do what you can with what you have, but you learn how to, you know, and, you know, I guess I learned through him. And he's always been like, you know, when I was starting out in Philadelphia, his door was like, you know, like I was allowed to come in and stage and he always welcomed me and I was happy to work under him. And when I found out that he needed a sous chef, I said, I want that job. And he said, yeah, come on.
So when you say that you were allowed to come in and like work under him, was that prior to you entering into his kitchen? Because I know that you did work at several other places as well prior to that with Rex 15, 16 and Micah and whatnot. So, you know, I don't know if you studied initially at any kind of particular culinary institution or if you kind of dove right into the culinary world as a line cook.
Well, I'll try to answer all these questions as quickly as possible. So my current, my wife now, who was at the time my girlfriend, she encouraged me to enroll in culinary school, and in Philadelphia, probably the most prominent one is Walnut Hill College. And so I enrolled in Walnut Hill College in 2011, and I got it. I met the former culinary director, Justin Swain, and we attended school together. And he at the time had just been recently promoted to executive chef at Rex 1516. And it's just worth mentioning, Rex has actually changed a little bit. They moved to their Rex at the Royal now. They're only a few doors down from where they were, but they're a much bigger establishment doing definitely a different thing now. So I got a job there as a line cook, and he offered me the job. And I went in, and you do something called a stage. For people who don't know what that is, that means like you go in and you work. It's a working interview, and you know, I worked there for about a year, and then after that I left because I was living in the suburbs at the time, and the commute was just like killing me. So I ended up back at Rex as the chef de cuisine later on, but in the interim, I met Chris Kearse through a mutual friend, and she got me into the kitchen. And I went and did a night, and he was like, hey, anytime you want to come back, you can. So I came back as much as I could.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit long-winded.
No, you're fine. The whole, I think it's very cool that that's how you kind of got tied into that. And then, so you did, you know, end up becoming one of the chef du cuisine, right? At BYOB.
It was chef de cuisine at Rex. As far as
Oh, sorry.
No, at one point I was I was the sous chef at Will when Chris asked me. Well, he didn't ask me, but he a mutual friend of Chris and mine, he put in a good word for me and said like, hey, if you're looking for a new sous chef, you know, if you remember John. And we were, I guess, out of contact for a while. I'm like, and I reached out to him, and I got hired. So.
Well, that's good. And then you worked alongside of your current partner, Mike, and that's, you know, how did the two of you working together come together to open up your current restaurant, which is 1911?
Michael and I were always like really close friends. You know, I've only known Mike for about 4 years now, and let's see, Mike came to work, I want to say winter 2018 at Will, and we just started hanging out a lot, and we work really well together. He's a great guy. He's very good at what he does, and he's got like he's got a different background than I do, so he's got like different opinions and different things to say. Yeah, I mean, he's really talented. He worked for Mark Betry at one point. We saw that the lease was available on the space, and we said, "Do you want to just go for it?" And kind of like overnight, we just did.
So then you opened up, and it's only been a little while since you opened your doors. I don't know if I don't know if somebody wanted to jump in there, but it's it's been a little bit since you opened up your doors, and you had opened, like, I think initially right after the shutdowns had ended, and
we opened up February 25th.
Okay. So were you nervous at all when you opened up because of everything that had been going on? And, were you excited? Because I know you guys were well received.
I'm like, here's the thing. We were definitely nervous. We were definitely excited. It's still a little bit nerve-wracking to own a small business. I mean, it's also the summertime. It's not really super busy right now, but like it's just, like day-to-day business, like handling the finances, just trying to do things responsibly. And for somebody like me, this is my first time owning a business, and there's a lot of lessons learned in the process, for lack of a better phrase.
Now, you also are offering on your menu. I know that, obviously there's different things that go into owning the business, but you offer a lot of fresh ingredients that are seasonal. And right now your summer menu is very light and fresh. Like, it obviously is well balanced with, the nutrients that you put in. And I was looking online at your menu, and I was like, I think I would want to go in there and order everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. I'm like, we're not like, we're just a BYOB. We're not like super high price or anything like that. It doesn't cost a fortune. Like we wanted to make it as neighborhood as possible. Maybe a destination spot, but I mean, like, it's not one of those things where I want you to have to save up to come in. So, yeah, I'm like, and we try to keep things as balanced as possible, and we try to change it up as often as we can. And sometimes, you got to take a look at what sells, what doesn't, and sometimes you can make small changes here and there without revamping the entire menu.
Yeah. Now, you also at your location have collaborated with another chef who is bringing on like her pasta, or it was actually a pasta that was with a twist from one of your former employers. But you guys are doing that to benefit Mama Mare, if I remember correctly, for Chef Jeannie. And so how did you come about to bring her on? Like, did she reach out to you guys, or did you, find out through the grapevine what's been going on in her life and reached out to her?
We actually just recently hired in the last few months a PR representative who knows Janine, and he made the introduction. So we met her at her place, and we sort of began to design, like, this is actually really Michael's go. I'm sorry that he's not here. He designed a pasta dish based on some of the places that he worked previously, one of them being Zeppeli. And he did a great job. It's been selling really well, and it's it's for something good. So
yeah, it's definitely for something good. If you're tuning in or watching this video, it's for Chef Jeannie Bruno, and they made a spinach gnocchetti.
I believe it's gnocchetti.
I'm known for messing up pronunciation, so it's fine. And it benefits.
It's not a problem.
Benefits individuals who are suffering from breast cancer, or who have been afflicted with breast cancer and are trying to beat it. So if you are looking to help benefit Women's Foundation for that. Obviously, you know, you can eat a delicious meal at 1911 and, you know, do that too. So, but back to you guys, I wanted to also talk about your brunch menu really fast before we have to let you go in a few minutes.
No, that's fine. Like I'm sorry. I've been kind of rambling on a little bit, but
Oh, you're fine. You're not rambling.
As far as the brunch menu goes, the brunch is the most recent addition, and we weren't really getting a lot of Sunday night dinner customers. In fact, we were getting basically none. So we decided let's do brunch because there's a lot of foot traffic late morning on East Passyunk, and we just came up with I don't really think it's like really it's pretty simple. It's, you know, there's some vegetables on it, and you know, of course you can get eggs, and we offer enough sides to where if you want to just build your own breakfast, you can. And we have a burger on the menu now, and we also have a vegetarian Reuben that we designed, and you know, it's been picking up a little bit, and I'm glad to see that people are coming in, and you know, I want to thank you guys for your time today.
Absolutely. And I want to also mention, because I mean, your entire, like, hands down, your entire brunch menu, I would just order the entire like list because everything on it.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. We just tried to keep it as we tried to keep it approachable. You don't want to make brunch complicated. Nobody's coming out for like, you know, crazy ingredients for the brunch menu. You know, you know, brunch is supposed to be like, you know, you get up, you wake up a little bit late, you go out, you know, maybe have a bottle of bubbles, offer orange juice service, you get some, you know, fatty food, and then you go home and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna take a nap.
That's exactly what brunch is for.
Like, you know, you go out with your friends, you take a walk down the street, you're like, you know, I probably had one too many to drink, but who cares?
Ask you one thing because you have it on both your brunch menu and your dinner menu, which is the porgy on sourdough, or yeah, porgy on sourdough.
Yeah, what we do with the porgy is we kind of just treated it like lox. We just cured it, and it's actually a little bit easier because one, it's a pretty thin fillet, so it's not like a piece of salmon. It doesn't take like a 3-day cure. It takes like maybe like 8-10 hours.
Okay.
And just, you know, Mike bakes the bread in the house, and we just made some sourdough, toasted up with butter, and then we made a dill aioli for it, and then we just give it a little bit of garnish with some, you know, whatever we got from the garden. So radishes, possibly, you know, some spring onions, and it just, you know, it just goes out, and it's pretty simple, but it's been pretty successful actually.
That's great. Now, for all listeners out there who want to indulge in some of your you know, very tightly like curated menu, but like very delicious sounding, where can they find you, and what are your social media tags?
Okay, so like we can be found, we're at 1911 East Passyunk Avenue in South Philadelphia. And we're like, you know, we're closer to Broad than, you know, than some of the other places. We're kind of at one end of it. As far as our Instagram tag goes, we're just simply 1911 _ PHL on Instagram. And we also have a Facebook. And like, we're not on like Twitter or anything like that. You know, if you Google us, you know, like the information will come up right away. And you know, you know, anybody that can, you know, that wants to come in, of course, you know, everybody's welcome. This is not like you know, we're not like super snobby or anything like that. We're just a small restaurant in South Philly trying to keep our heads above water.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs, and I look forward to tasting that whipped ricotta toast that you have as well. So thank you, and I wish you luck, and I will see you soon.
No, this has been a really nice experience, and once again, I just want to thank you and have a good one, and you know, enjoy the rest of the weekend. It actually looks like it's going to storm out here, so.
as well here. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and it was great having you on.
All right. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It is such an honor to introduce our next guest to Food Farms and Chefs. Two-time James Beard award-winning chef, well, actually best Mid-Atlantic chef and best cookbook single topic. Been won numerous awards for both his love of Cuban food and his inspiration in bringing Nouveau Latino to the Mid-Atlantic region and to North America per se in what he has accomplished for his efforts to educate and bring the flavors of Cuba to the United States. It is a great honor, as I said, to introduce Guillermo Pernot, the chef partner of Cuba Libre restaurant, or restaurants, as we know, they have many. Guillermo, welcome to Food Farms and Chefs. Great honor to have you here. I am a huge fan of both the restaurant and your work.
Well, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Thank you again. Glad to be here.
Well, it is our honor, and there's so much we could talk about. One of the things that really I love about you, and we have a mutual friend. I worked for many years for Larry Cohen.
Sure.
So I love what Larry and Barry have done through the years, and with your effort, in really making Cuba Libre a model for Cuban cuisine and Cuban food. It's just been a really fun journey to watch.
It's been fun. Absolutely. It's been, I think, 18 years so far, or 20
Yes,
years.
yes.
Close to 20 years.
Yes.
So, but it's been fun doing it, a lot of hard work. And the 5 locations that we have right now, they're doing very well, and people are enjoying our food and drinks.
Well, let's start a little bit about you. You are a native of Argentina, I believe. Your wife is Cuban.
Correct.
What got you into cooking? What got you behind the stove and really launched your career?
It's a long story, but basically, I used to work for the Four Seasons as the front of the house for many years. And I just wanted to do something different. So Lucia and I took over a bed and breakfast in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania, Sweetwater Farm. And I started cooking for the guests on the weekends, Saturday night, actually, for up to 12 guests. Blind menu. I will do whatever I wanted. And all of a sudden, things starting to happen. Little inns of the Mid-Atlantic, get away for gourmets. I started writing about our food and the inn. And I said, oh my God, I can do this for a living. So after a few years, we left Sweetwater Farm and I pursued a professional kitchen after that. So that's a very, very small, very, very short story, but it's it's been a long way to get where we are right now.
Oh, absolutely. You started as the executive chef at Cuba Libre in the fall of 2006, right around there. But one of the things that you did in your desire to really push yourself and learn more and more and more, you launched yourself on a mission in 2010 to really discover the evolution of Cuban cuisine. Tell us a little bit about what you did to educate yourself, about what you learned, and really about where Cuban cuisine is today.
Well, first of all, I've never been to Cuba before, and neither my wife, even she was born in Cuba, but she left when she was very young. So I only learned Cuban cuisine from whatever I read and from my mother-in-law. So I had an opportunity to go with my sister-in-law to Cuba, which is also the first time she went back. And I discovered a lot of other things. The idiosyncrasy of the Cuban people and the cuisine was something that I never understood. And I got to know that. But that was the first trip. Then we said, why don't we do tours to Americans through Havana, culinary tours. So now I took a different, besides learning the cuisine myself and working with the chefs on different paladares, I also introduced these travelers that were coming with me what Cuban cuisine really was, which is, it's a misconception. First of all, that Cuban cuisine is spicy, which is not. Secondly, they think Cuban cuisine is very limited: rice, beans, picadillo, and pork. It's a lot more than that, than Cuban cuisine. But it's not just the food of Havana. It's also the food of the east part of the island and the west part of the island and the south part of the island. Things just changed tremendously. So we learn as we travel together through these culinary tours, which I think we did like 12 or so. And it was amazing. So then I said, well, let's write a book about these paladares that everybody's talking about, but nobody knows much about it. So I wrote that cookbook that just came out a couple of years ago. So that is what I discovered. And that was my mission, to educate myself and the people that were traveling with me what Cuban food was, or is actually.
Well, you're very humble, because I believe you did a little bit more than that. Through
Yeah.
our relationship as the chef partner at Cuba Libre, you also started to bring visiting chefs or people into the kitchens here, and expand and do small dinners as well. Tell us a little bit about that whole experience, which really became the basics for the book Cuba Cooks.
That's correct. Well, the hardest part of that part of the mission, of the Cuban mission, let's call it, was getting them visas to travel to the United States. So I talked to the American interest section, which is by then was not a consulate yet. And I met with several people, and I presented my plan and my vision. And they were very, very accommodating and welcoming to the idea. So we were able to get visas for 5 chefs, which they came to the United States. We cooked in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. The first one was in Washington, D.C., and NBC, CNN, I mean, everybody was a guest. It was amazing and very welcoming. The fact was that those people never knew that was Cuban food. And that was the most interesting part of the whole project. I educated many people what the chefs were really doing. Very avant-garde food, very modern food, very out of the frame what you think is cumin and sour orange. It's a lot more than that. And it was very interesting and very, very humbling feeling that I enjoyed doing.
So among your many accomplishments and acknowledgments and rewards, you have, been Philadelphia Magazine, Voters, Gourmet. I love that you were Esquire's Chef of the Year at one point in time. As I said, James Beard award-winning chef, Mid-Atlantic region, and also for your cookbook, which we haven't talked about yet, that particular book. One of the things that I really love about you is your involvement with the James Beard Foundation in the American Chef Corps, a State Department partnership that you're involved with. Tell us a little bit about that and the work that they were doing through that partnership, and really laying the groundwork for future relationships.
Well, Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, invited 50 chefs to join her as a chef corps for the State Department. And of course, I have to say yes. I was very honored to be part of that. So my first and only mission at this point was in Tegucigalpa in Honduras. And what I wanted to do, since the Honduras diet is very poor and it consists of beans and tortilla basically, and very limited variety of food. So I said that I will go to 2 culinary schools and I will teach them how to cook items that they were within 5 kilometers from where the school was. And we went hunting for food to different farms, no more than 5 kilometers away. And we came back to both kitchens, both times. And we prepared a dinner to 25 to 30 students. But the way we did them is, instead of serving it on a plate, I set up a long table and I put this parchment paper kind of thing, and we all cooked. But then there were different tasting stations that you can walk through and taste the food that you made, as far from the closest to the furthest away from where you were standing, with different sauces and different cheeses and etc. It was amazing. I had a lot of fun doing it, and also work with a house from women that they were pregnant and they needed a better diet. So I taught them how to use the leftovers of the vegetables. For example, they will use the beets, but they will never use the leaves. They will be thrown away. So now we started making tortillas that they were stuffed with these beets and different types of beans, etc. So, which was what they needed on the diet while they were pregnant. So I worked with them for 5 days, and I really enjoyed that moment in Tegucigalpa. And eventually I got called for another one, but I wasn't able to make it. And then the administration of Obama was dissolved and the whole corp was dissolved. But they started to reform it again with the Biden administration. I'm looking forward for them to call me and be able to join in another trip and another cultural exchange.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. Obviously, making a difference in the world, and a difference that needs to be made. And the one common language, the one common ground that we all share is our food and our love of eating and our love of breaking bread with our fellow man. And you really
Absolutely.
set the tone for that and what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So you've been at the helm of Cuba Libre now for a lot of years. Philadelphia, Orlando, Washington, Atlantic City, and now Fort Lauderdale as well. Tell us how your vision and how the restaurant has changed, and what style that, or what changes have you brought, in the number of years you've been there?
Well, it's been many years and many changes. And as we evolve in different cities, we have to adapt to the community that lives in that city. So my first change was in Atlantic City, when, as we know, we are in the Tropicana Casino. And as you know, casinos are very well known for steak restaurants. So, and Cubans, they cook a lot with charcoal, because in some places like Trinidad, there is no natural gas. There is no LP gas. So what the stoves are made with charcoal. And if you go to the farms in different parts of the country, and they have little paladares in the middle of the farm, you see everything is made with charcoal. There is no gas or some people don't even have electricity. So I said, why don't we open a grill, a wood and charcoal burning grill, and we can introduce more flavors to our cuisine. And so that was one of the changes that we have done. We repeated that in Fort Lauderdale. That was very interesting. And of course, we expanded. Now we're talking about a city that is very touristy, and it's also on the sea, on the coast. So we have to introduce fish that is on the grill, octopus, and because it's a Latin and South American influence, being so close to Miami, so we have to introduce more native Cuban food, but it has to be made on the grill. So that was the second major change that we have made in the last, well, 8 years. But most of all, I wanted to make sure that we divide the menu in two different parts. We put the traditional food, Cuban food, and then we put the nuevo, or the new avant-garde Cuban food. So people will understand that there are two sides to the culinary world of Cuba. And that was one of the major changes that I have made in the concept of Cuba Libre.
Chef, I can spend hours talking to you. I am, as I said, a huge fan. I have eaten in your restaurant many times. I can't say enough about the overall experience, from cocktails to service to everything.
Thank you.
At Cuba Libre. If people want to find out more, we can simply, tell them to go to Cuba Libre, do a Google search. You could find all their social media tags. But if people wanted to find out more about your projects, is there social media that they could just follow you?
I do not have a personal website, and the restaurant on the restaurant, CubaLibreRestaurant.com, you can find a part that it talks about different things that we are doing. The selling of the book, trips has been canceled since COVID started, because Cuba is not really open yet, fully open. And so you can find anything else that we're doing in our website.
Chef, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to bringing you back on to Food Farms and Chefs. Look forward to my next dining experience at Cuba Libre. And again, thank you for all you do in promoting, Cuban cuisine and hospitality throughout the world.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I want to welcome the friend of our show, Lori White, who has so many credentials. I might mess them all up, but she is one of the co-owners of Zeds Bado-Brewing that's in Marlton, New Jersey, but she's also the chapter leader of Pink Boots Society in New Jersey, and also on the executive board of New Jersey Brewers Association in New Jersey. So Lori, welcome back to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. That introduction makes me tired, so I don't know.
I mean, when you're in it, you're in it. Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to start out by, letting everybody know, like, if you want a really approachable beer, you can go to Zeds Brewery in Marlton, New Jersey. You brew up some of, you're constantly brewing so many new things. And obviously you have staples that are on tap at all times, like the Cooper Cream Ale. I see
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
Yep. And you know, you also brew up like constantly changing things. So right now, what are some of the things that you have on tap?
Sure. So we have 6 core beers that we always keep on because, you know, once you get good at something, you want to keep doing it for a while. But then, you know how craft beer drinkers are. We always want what's new and fresh and novel and, you know, what's of the moment. So out of the rest of the 24 taps, we try and keep a good rotation going. So there are My Beloved Seltzers, which are seasonal flavors. We keep 4 of those on draft. Now, to keep up with the trend, sours are just all the rage. Everybody wants a nice tart beer, and they really do play well for summer. So it's a nice seasonal trend. So we have 2 taps dedicated for sours right now. You got to have a couple IPAs because this is America and we like our beer with a lot of hops in it. So we have a couple of those on too. And then we just have a nice, maybe like 6 or 7 other taps dedicated to a lot of rotationals that allow us to play with different styles of beer, different regions. We have some German beers, we have some French beers, some Belgian beers, and then just, you know, New Jersey beers, which are really good too. So we just released our New Jersey blueberry beer because, come on, when you brew in New Jersey, you got to make a blueberry beer, right? So made from blueberries from Hamilton, of course, and that's been really fun to have on for the summer. We have some Belgian beers, and we're gonna release in a couple of weeks our Czech Pilsner. Pilsner is a really light, crisp, easy drinker, and that'll be nice to kind of get us finished through the summer and then into some of the bigger beers that you tend to drink in the fall and the winter.
Exactly. And I have to say, like, it's probably tapped out already, but you had the blackberry, I think it was the blackberry sour, like throwing back to that trend. And I want to say that you balanced it so well. Like, because actually very recently had other blackberry sours from other breweries, which I won't mention. And it was almost like it was too sour and some of them were too tart. And like, you balanced yours where it was very like, it wasn't too sour. It was easily, you know, drinkable. It didn't pucker me up. Yeah. So I want to just give you accolades for that.
Oh, thank you. You know, sours are really tricky because they are, you know, traditionally they were made by just wild fermenting the beer, right? You let the cask open and whatever kind of wild yeast and things that got in there to give it that sour flavor got in there. And now to a modern brewer that, like, you know, makes you clutch the pearls and gasp like, oh my God. But you know, we come from a long line of brewing tradition where sours were an important part of the heritage that got us here. So when you make a sour, you kind of have to wait. You know, Jeff, my husband and head brewer, he makes the base beers, and you know, I wait and see what he gives me and how it sort of levels out, and then I get to play with it and add, you know, fruit
to it,
herbs and spices and all those other fun things. So that, yeah, it's blackberry with rose. We use rose hips and I use a little rose essence, which sounds kind of weird and maybe too frilly for a beer, but it really balances out that tart blackberry and like you said, makes for a nice balanced beer. So I really like it. I'll be sad when it goes, but we've got 2 new sours coming up behind it that are exciting too. So I'll sneak one, which is our passion fruit tangerine sour. And the other one is still in the works, so I'm not gonna be able to talk too much about what that one is yet, but hopefully it'll be a good replacement for that blackberry.
Yes. Now, I'm gonna jump over to what's been going, because you know what's been brewing, in New Jersey in general. You know, not to like do a terrible segue, but do a terrible segue. Because you are facing, and you are one of the many brewers that are facing this, because obviously you're on the executive board of New Jersey Brewers Association, but you guys are great now fighting the legislation that's happening, and it was implemented back in, I believe, 2018, and then it kind of got put on the back burner for a quarantine. And July 1st, the New Jersey legislation with this new special law that's been implemented brought it back. So you've been fighting that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's been happening and how that is impacting you?
Absolutely. So yeah, I am on the board of the New Jersey Brewers Association. We represent about 50 of the generally the smaller breweries in the state of New Jersey. We have a couple of the big guys on our roster too, but and we're the ones that are primarily impacted by this special ruling. So as you pointed out, back in 2018, 2019 was when this first idea kind of cropped up. It actually cropped up earlier than that too. This has been trying to raise its little ugly head several times in the state of New Jersey. And we have a lot of great support from our fan base and our customers and just supporters who want to see the craft brewing business grow in New Jersey. So this latest edition is very much the same thing that's been popping up over and over again. And this latest version of Whack-A-Mole came about at the beginning of July. So the director of the ABC, who gets to make all the rules about alcohol in New Jersey, came up with this special ruling that creates a lot of, let's just say, hoops and special conditions for breweries that to have to comply with in the way we get to serve our beer to our customers. So it can be something as ridiculous as the size of the TVs that we have on the wall, to the kinds of TV shows we're allowed to show, to the kinds of music we're allowed to play, whether it's electronically amplified or acoustic, or whether it's, I mean, it has a lot of really, silly details in there to kind of keep breweries on our toes. And it's really designed to, unfortunately, make the brewery experience less enjoyable for the consumer. Is really what it boils down to. So they want us to, serve you a glass of beer and send you on your way, and not create a enjoyable atmosphere for you to sit back and relax and really enjoy the spaces that we've created and the beers that we've created, which is unfortunate because, as you know, and I know many of your listeners know, brewery culture is a really cool thing, and it's very different than bar culture or even winery culture, or it's a thing that has been created. It's not unique to New Jersey. We have successful breweries all around the country, but I guess maybe we were a little too successful in New Jersey. I don't know why they think that this is something that New Jersey breweries should have to deal with as opposed to others. So it's affecting us in New Jersey in a really interesting way, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to have the other parts of the government, the New Jersey legislature or the governor's office, perhaps intercede on our behalf to try and get some of this taken away.
Yeah.
Just for the purpose of helping to grow New Jersey breweries and continue its brewery culture, which we all, I think, most of us, we all love, to create a more enjoyable atmosphere for us to drink beers in. So
yeah, I mean, because I do know that some of the things that, like, some more of the things that they have under the special ruling that kind of muzzles the breweries in New Jersey, it really kind of just negatively impacts you, is they put down rules where you're only allowed a certain amount. I actually wrote it down. There's only 12 off-premise events and 25 on-site activities and 52 private parties that you're allowed to attend, host, or be involved with in I believe a year's time, which is not a lot. And if you consider like how much breweries do on a regular basis without being, limited to that, think about it. Think about when, for our listeners out there, how often you're like, I'm gonna go out to a brewery, let's see what food trucks, vending at it, or what special thing that they're doing. My apologies. I don't know. I guess we ran out of time.
Of the Narrow Path radio broadcast.
Or we're being interrupted.
Sorry, guys. Hold on.
That was interesting.
I'm not loud in my brewery because then it gets
I know. It's like, what?
I apologize. We're good.
No, it's all right. I suppose just for the, this is going to be on Zoom, but for the radio's sake, cut that out. But so for, and I'll just, so for our listeners out there who attend, who like going to breweries, you know, and attending events and, you know, going to tastings, there's so much that they can do that now they're being limited to, as I said, like, it's almost like you guys are gonna kind of be muzzled, like not allowed to do things that are beneficial, you know, not only to like yourselves and the food trucks that might be vending, or, you know, the parties that you're hosting, but it's also, you know, limiting the fun that we can have as, you know, visitors to your breweries.
Yeah. And we like to, you know, we like to, because we tend to be smaller businesses, we partner a lot with other businesses in the community. We support, like you said, local food trucks or other small restaurants, or, you know, other events. Like we would like to partner with yoga studios sometimes to do like yoga and a beer, or just other things to create a fun, welcoming environment. You know, in our COVID world where there's, you know, not as many places as not as many fun activities as we like to do. People want to get back outside now. They want to go back and do things, and combining that with, you know, getting spaces for people to come together is a difficult thing sometimes. So cutting off breweries from being part of the community and being able to offer, you know, I mean, yes, maybe trivia night spaces for small musicians to come and you know, play in the corner, or for, you know, other bands to be entertained. There's a lot of things that we do as breweries that help us integrate into our communities, that are going to be just more challenging now to try and schedule around them, things like that. Like, do I have to say no when one of my customers wants to host a birthday party because I might have, you know, other things in my calendar? Or, it creates a burden on us that makes it difficult to operate in this, you know, in this environment. As a small business, it's hard for me to sort of plan around those kinds of things when I know, you know, I'm up against the limit. So
yeah.
And we want to be part of our communities. We want to grow as best we can. We want to, you know, I want to have all the fun things. And the other thing too is, you know, like, you know, here at Zeds, we have a really great pizza place that's right near us. So we don't necessarily do food trucks here, but every brewery has different situations, right? So maybe you do want to have a food truck, or maybe you do want to have a trivia night, or maybe you do want to do things that will help you be part of your community and help you grow your customer base. And so we really feel like this is unfair to breweries and something that we would like to see changed. So there are lots of things that listeners can do. There are petitions out there. If you go to njbeer.org, you'll be able to see ways that you can make your voice heard. There are ways you can reach out to your legislators, ways you can reach out to the governor's office. And our community allies are really our biggest supporters, and they've made a lot of noise. They've done great things. They've helped us deal with this the other two times that it's cropped up. So hopefully we'll find a way to get this one resolved again, and back to business of making beer and being part of our community and having good taproom spaces for people to enjoy it.
Exactly. Thank you. And with our like last few moments that we have you on for today, and we will, for our listeners out there, we're going to stay with this situation and bring Lori back on for updates as far as what's going on with this special legislation. But before, you know, we have to round you up and have you unfortunately say goodbye for the evening. What are some of the things right now that, you know, we can look forward to within that limited window of opportunity at Zeds?
Yeah, so, you know, we're going to continue to do what we've been doing all along, which is to try and, you know, participate as much as we can and do as much as we can. We're excited. We're going to be at a really great beer festival in South Jersey that really focuses on South Jersey breweries. It's called the Summer Swelter. It's in Pittman on August 13th. That's going to be really fun. Like I said, there are still ways that we can go out and be part of the community and meet our craft beer aficionados and interact with them. So we're looking forward to that event in August coming up. we have, our new releases coming up. We're going to continue to make great beer. We're going to continue to put it out there. We may be limited in terms of what we can do in terms of other activities until we can get this resolved, but we'll continue to, try and offer the most welcoming atmosphere we can in our tap rooms. Maybe there won't be as many singing nights. Maybe there won't be as many, like other activity nights or promotions, but we will try and make the best use of what we've been given and we'll fight to see if we can, help to get things loosened up a little bit.
And in the meantime, maybe I'll come visit you and bring you some games that I'll just accidentally leave there so that, should people want to come and play games, they're free to do so.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're going to continue to be, whether we have to, curb our activities maybe for a while until we can get this handled, we're going to continue to be the welcoming atmospheres that people know we are. But, I've heard a lot of criticism that the reason that we need all these activities is because we just want to be bars. But if you've been to a brewery and you've been to a bar, you really know the difference, and they're not the same thing. So we want to continue to have our brewery culture and our brewery community, which does involve, sometimes other activities besides just sitting there and drinking a beer, but still creates a really welcoming environment that's family friendly and, and for us, especially at Zeds, approachable for people who, maybe aren't too sure about this whole craft beer thing. We want to create a welcoming place where you can come and explore and discover beers that are really approachable and really delicious and will sort of help explain the whole craft beer culture to you and make you part of this really fun family.
Exactly. And I mean, you can literally bring the entire family because you also allow dogs there. So Jean, you can bring your new baby with you to the brewery.
I can bring my new baby. That would be wonderful, except she's very shy around men. Remember that. So.
Well, we have a lot of really lovely ladies at Zeds, so we can take care of her and pamper her. Somebody said on a comment that I think at Zeds they were nicer to their dog than they were to them.
I know, and when you walk right in, you'll walk past all of like the dog toys and the dog bowls and handkerchiefs and stuff like that. But
our servers are very dog obsessed, I will.
Yes.
In Burlington County, where it's not an issue for us. So thank goodness.
But Lori, thank you for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs. Let our listeners know what your tags are online and where to find you.
Yeah, we are everywhere. We are Drink Zeds. That's what we want you to do. So DRINKZEDS on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, all of the everywheres we're Drink Zeds. So please check us out. Please do come and drink some Zeds. And I will definitely keep you posted on all, because we're going to be fighting this good fight all through the summer, all through the fall. Hopefully, as long as it takes to keep New Jersey beer, safe and growing and able to thrive. We're going to keep up the good fight. So I will continue to keep you posted.
All right. So Jean Blum, where can they find you online?
You can find me at Jean Blum or IBFoodie2, where you can simply send me an email at IBFOODIE2@yahoo.com.
And you can find me across social media at ARPolicus. And if you'd like to be a guest or sponsor on the show, you can email me at arpolicus@gmail.com. Have a great Tuesday, everyone.